Hey there, fifth graders. So we are going to jump right back into dividing with decimals. So before spring break, we looked at dividing with decimals when the number on the outside is a whole number. Today we're going to look at what we do when our number on the outside is a decimal. So if we have equations like these are our three examples. Let's go through the steps of what we have to do. So step one, we make the divisor, or the number on the outside, a whole number by moving the decimal point to the right until there are no decimal places left. So for example, in 8/10, we would move it to the right one place to make it 8. In 6/10, we'd move it to the right one place. And in 12/100, we'd have to move it 2 places. In the dividend, so that's the number on the inside, we have to move the decimal point to the right the same number of places that we move the decimal point in the divisor. So with 8/10, we moved it one time to make it 8. So that means with 2 and 4/10, we have to move our decimal point to the right one place. Since with 6/10, we moved our decimal point one place to the right, in 2 and 82/100, we move our decimal point to the right one place to make it 28 and 2/10. And in 12/100, we moved our decimal point to the right 2 places. So that means in 861 thousandths, we move our decimal point to the right 2 places as well, making it 81 and 6/100. And then we divide normally, just like we would with any other long division. We have to remember to move our decimal point inside the dividend all the way up to the top. So what that would look like, if we look at example A first, we have 4/10 as our divisor, and our dividend is 1 and 28/100. So our first step is to make the divisor a whole number. So we have to move our decimal point to the right one place to make it 4. However many places we move the decimal point in the divisor to the right, we have to move the decimal point in the dividend. So we only moved it one place, so we move it one place again. So now we're dividing 4 into 12 and 8/10. So our decimal point comes straight up to the top, and then we divide like normal. 4 cannot go into 1, so we'll put a 0. But 4 can go into 12 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. We'll subtract and get 0. And then we bring down our next number, 8. 4 can go into 8 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. We subtract, and our remainder is 0. So this is our quotient, 3 and 2/10. Let's look at example B. So we have 3/100 into 54/100. So we have to move our decimal point to the right until there are no more decimal places left. So we'll go 1, 2 to here to make it 3. And we have to move 2 places on the inside as well. 1, 2 to make it 54. So just so I don't have these extra zeros, I'm going to rewrite my division problem without those zeros since we don't need them. So 3 can go into 5 one time. 1 times 3 is 3. We subtract to get 2. We bring down our 4. 3 can go into 24. 8 times 3 is 24. We subtract and get a remainder of 0. So that means that our quotient is 18. And we have 2 more examples on this page. So we have 9 hundredths into 3 and 9 tenths into 3 and 96 hundredths. We'll move our decimal point over 1 place for 9 and 1 place to make 39 and 6 hundredths. So again, I'm going to rewrite this just so it's a little bit easier for me to read. I'm going to bring my decimal point straight up to the top, and then I can divide like normal. 9 can't go into 3, but 9 can go into 39 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36. When we subtract, we get 3. We bring down our 6. Again, 9 can go into 36 4 times. 4 times 9 is 36, and we have a remainder of 0. So that means that our quotient is 4 and 4 tenths. So we have one more example on this page. This time it's already a whole number. So 7 into 38 and 5 tenths. 7 cannot divide into 3, but 7 can divide into 38 5 times. 5 times 7 is 35. And we subtract to get 3. We bring down our 5. And again, 7 can go into 35 5 times. We subtract and have a remainder of 0. And we have to remember to bring up that decimal point. So our quotient is 5 and 5 tenths. So I have one more page of examples that we can go through. We'll review the steps very quickly. So remember, when we divide a number by a divisor with a decimal, we have to follow these 3 steps. We make the divisor into a whole number by moving our decimal point to the right until there are no decimal places left. And then we move the decimal in the dividend the same number of places that we moved our decimal in the divisor. And then divide normally, bringing the decimal point up to the top. So if we look at example A, we have 3 and 3 tenths into 2 and 64 hundredths. So we move our decimal point over 1 place to make 33. And we bring our decimal point over 1 place to make 26 and 4 tenths. Again, I'm going to rewrite this so it's a little bit easier to read. We bring our decimal point up to the top. 33 cannot go into 2. 33 also cannot divide into 26. But 33 can divide into 264 8 times. 8 times 33 is 264. We subtract to get a 0 remainder. So that means that our quotient is 8 tenths. So I'm actually going to skip over B and D because I want to show you C. So sometimes we will have a divisor that has a decimal point, but a dividend that doesn't. So if you remember, we always have a decimal point at the end of any whole number with a whole bunch of invisible zeros. So let's start with our first step. We move our decimal point in the divisor over 2 places to make 16. And then we have to move our decimal point in 32 over 2 places. So that means that we'll have to annex a couple of zeros or add some zeros. So we move it over 2 places and we add in our zeros. So again, I'm going to rewrite this to make it a little bit easier to read it. So we're going to be dividing 16 into 3,200. So when we just divide like normal, 16 can't go into 3, but 16 can go into 32. 2 times. 2 times 16 is 32. And we subtract to get 0. We bring down our 0, which means we get another 0 in the quotient when we bring down our other 0 for another 0. So that means that our quotient is 200. So that is how we divide with decimals. If you have any questions or need any help, or if anything is not making sense, please let me know and I'm happy to help in any way that I can. Remember, I am here for you 100% of the way. Have a great day, 5th graders.